Hi and welcome everyone. Today we're going to have a little bit of a brainstorming session here together. I am looking on the daily here on Bitcoin at a couple of scenarios as to how this Elliott wave, impulsive waves to the upside or the corrective waves to the upside can potentially play out. Let's go through this together. I also have two Elliott wave scenarios on ETH that I would like to go through. We can also jump into XTZ, the altcoin that I'm watching. Bonk, believe it or not, yes, I am looking at Bonk. Dogecoin, also a meme coin that I'm tracking here. And then finally, dominance. What is happening with dominance? Will we finally get this momentum to the downside to give the alts that season that they deserve, which they call the alt season, for that final push up or explosion from the altcoins before we have a corrective wave down for Bitcoin? Okay, so let's get a little bit serious and let's brainstorm and just keep all scenarios on the table. Is to say that from a trading perspective, we can't just be bullish or bearish. We have to always consider both bullish and bearish scenarios. Okay, so I am here. Let's entertain the scenario that I've got here at the moment and say, well, where's the invalidations? Can we expect a little bit higher before we correct, or are we at the top where we are right now? Are we topping out? We have to also consider social media is extremely bullish at the moment. You have NFTs exploding and some of the altcoins doing 100x and the meme coins coins exploding. Have we reached a top, or is this only the beginning of a small little correction for further continuation to the upside? And before we dive in, please like and subscribe this video. It's your way to show love towards the channel. Also, if you would like to trade with me, I've got my 2 affiliate links down in the description. Bybit, my favorite exchange to trade on, where I do my spot trading and my swing trading, and Mexi for short little scalps. I like their low fees. Please use my affiliate links to sign up. It costs you nothing and it supports this channel. So let's get into it. The first scenario that I'm looking here is, and I've already done a little bit of preparation work just to take everyone through it, is to say that, well, taking the price action here from the 21st of November 2022. Okay, we've made these little impulses to the upside and we are now quite aggressively moving to the upside. So the one scenario that I'm watching is to say that, let me take this out the way, is to say that if this is a 1, 2, and we are now busy with the third wave to the upside, okay, for then a fourth wave and then a fifth wave to the upside. Does it make sense? Does the levels balance? Are we on track? Have we reached the top? Okay, so I'm just discussing some basic Elliott rules and theory and common targets here. And for those that are more experienced in Elliott waves, and please comment down below, show me your scenarios. I would be happy to have a look at those ones as well. But for now, let's entertain the scenario. So we have a 1, 2, 3 to the upside. And common third wave targets is the 1.618. It's usually considered a minimum third wave target. And how you work that out is you take your fib extension from the bottom of 1 to the top, okay, to the bottom of 2. And you drag it, and I'm ignoring this little wick over here because there's a lot of exchanges that don't have this wick. So we drag it across and we can then see the 618 is over here. Okay, untapped. Interestingly, we have tapped the 1.236, which is a common C wave target. Okay, but we'll get to that just now. So the one thing that I am considering here is to say that I see a lot of people posting Elliott wave scenarios with this scenario in mind, is to say that, well, perhaps we have reached the fifth wave in this momentum to the upside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What concerns me is the fact that we have not reached a minimum third wave target, which ironically is at the $50,000 level that everyone is talking about on social media as well, that psychology number that everyone wants to be hit before we see a decent correction. Well, that also corresponds with a minimum third wave target. So it kind of feels to me, just taking, not being biased, just taking data into consideration and the minimum targets for, or the general targets for Elliott wave theory, we still need to at least hit the 1.618 to complete a third wave. So if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside of 3 and we start correcting down here, it doesn't really make sense to me. Okay, purely based on Elliott wave theory. Anything can happen, and that's why we practice good risk management. Okay, so this is the one scenario that I'm watching, is to say that, well, what if perhaps 5 is not complete? Okay, and we move 3 to over here, and we move 4 to over here. That starts to feel like it makes a little bit more sense if these are indeed impulses to the upside. Okay, hope that makes sense to everyone here as well. Is to say that if the 1.618 is a minimum third wave target, okay, so 3 would then move over here and 5 would go higher. Okay, then it means that we have to form 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves inside the third wave. Okay, it can't be complete as yet. Okay, hope this makes sense. So this is definitely one scenario that I'm keeping in mind, is to say that, well, potentially if I then take this out the way, just want to see if I do have that scenario here. So let's take this scenario out the way. We can remove the fib and we see, okay, I had this scenario 1 over here, which kind of doesn't feel right at the moment, but we have to consider each and every single scenario, where I've then counted to say that this is a 1, 2, and I know it looks a bit messy, but please, let's just entertain the scenario, is to say that we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and we are still busy with the 5th wave inside of this structure. Okay, there's a couple of invalidations for me already. Going on to the smaller time frames, it feels like we didn't really make the impulsive waves that we should have made to the upside, but definitely still a possibility, as this could be a larger corrective move. So I can then take these smaller counts out. Let's go on to the 4 hour and let's just brainstorm this together. Okay, I don't really know what I'm talking about, but let's do it together and perhaps we can figure it out. Okay, cool. Is to say that, well, if we still need to make the third wave that takes us to that $50,000 target, okay, to complete the third wave on the macro that we've just looked at, is to say, well, I had an invalidation here, but perhaps this is a larger corrective structure. And what if, okay, what if this is an A, B, and we have completed the C over here? A minimum target for a C wave is the 0.618. So let's take an expanded fib from the top of 3 to the bottom of A. We drag it across, we take it to B, and you will see that the C wave has hit the minimum requirement of the 0.618, which is a C wave target. C waves generally like to at least claim the 121. Common C wave targets are the 1.236. But what if we're not going to get there? What if C wave is in? Okay, we have to consider these scenarios to say that, well, now we are building impulses to the upside, is to say that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, definitely a scenario that I'm keeping in mind. I just want to grab and I've got my stuff hidden behind my camera here, but what if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to go and hit that $50,000 level that everyone's expecting? Then you can go a little bit more crazy and you can say, okay, cool. You take your fib extension from, okay, I'll just have to take this out the way because this is now blocking my view. From the bottom of 1 and 2, a minimum target for a third wave is the 618. So are we going to get to that $50,000 level? Okay, and for us to complete that third impulsive wave to the upside on the macro, on the daily that I've just shown you, we need to at least hit the $50,000 level. Okay, so could this mean that we're going to have an expansive third wave? Because third waves loves the 618 targets. Then for a fifth wave, come and hit the 3.618 to complete the cycle. So definitely a scenario that I'm still keeping in mind, is to say that we could be building impulses here to the upside. Okay, CVD is also telling a story, and yeah, perhaps today I'm not going to go through CVD, but definitely a scenario that I'm keeping in mind is to say that we could be building impulses here to the upside to go and complete that third wave. Then we have to look at another scenario. So let's take this out the way, clean this up. Just want to make sure that I don't delete the wrong stuff here. Okay, so let's kill this scenario and we go to scenario number 2. Okay, to me, this perhaps looks like a better scenario at the moment, is to say, okay, keeping the macro, you have to keep the macro scenario in mind, and we can run through it again just before we finish off here, is to say that, well, perhaps we have finished a 1, 2, 3, and we are now busy with a fourth wave, a complex fourth wave, and we are still going to hit that $50,000 level with a fifth wave to the upside. Okay. So from an Elliott wave theory perspective, let me just make this nice and big for everyone, is to say that, well, general rules is that when you do have a retracement and you are building a fourth wave, you do not want to see us hit the 0.618, which I have there as an invalidation. Okay, so in this green box are common fourth wave targets, and it could already be in, okay, because we did hit the 0.236 already, which is a more rare target for a fourth wave, but a target nonetheless. Okay, so if we had to come back down here, any bounce inside of this green box, which is in alignment with the 0.382 and the 50% FIP level, also in confluence with this trend line that we have sloping up. Just want to show you where I get that trend from. Basically, from the start, I've just connected these pivots, also that little retest that we had over there. So perhaps it could be a bounce on that trend line to then go and complete the fifth wave and also complete the third wave in the macro scenario. Okay, cool. So looking at the macro, let's just switch it on quickly just to show everyone. Is it this one? Yes, it is this one. Looks very similar. Okay, what I've just shown. Okay. So definitely an interesting scenario. Let's just take some of the scribble out the way. Is also then to say that, well, if the fourth wave, and we don't know where the fourth wave is going to end or if it has already ended, we can already start working out some of the targets for the fifth wave. And depending on where the fourth wave is going to end, you can then see where your targets are going to be for your fifth wave. Your fifth wave generally likes the 1.236, okay, also the 1.382. It can extend to the 1.618, which is a little bit more rare for a fifth wave target. Okay, so we'll just have to see where this fourth wave ends. And I think that the important thing to remember here is to say that, well, we can still retrace deeper before we have the fifth wave. But we can also start the fifth wave from over here, where we are right now. Okay, I hope this makes sense. I hope everyone understands it. If you do have any questions, please let me know down in the description or in the comments down below. Okay, so for the moment, I am favoring this scenario because it kind of feels like it makes sense, but we have to be prepared for both bullish and bearish scenarios. The other thing I want to highlight is to say, maybe this is the scenario no one wants to hear. Okay, no, Devil, you have completely lost your mind. Is to say that, well, when I look at the macro scenario and we have, okay, let me go here onto the 12-hour, let's just zoom out a little bit here, is to say that, well, if we are going to turn around here, and let's say this is 3, 4, 5, okay, and we are going to turn around here, and you start taking your FIP targets, your expanded FIP targets from the bottom of 1 to the top, you drag it down, okay. The 1.236 is a common C wave target. So what if, you know, I just have to say it, hate me, don't love me, I just have to, you know, put both my bullish and bearish hats on, is to say that this could be an A, B, C. And now we are going to start making impulses to the downside. Okay, so that could be the end of the structure, and this is not a 1, 2, 3 to the upside, but this is an A, B, C correction to the upside, which means we don't have to hit this 1.618. Okay, so it's all about observing how far do we retrace on this retracement to potentially form that fourth leg that I've been mentioning in this other scenario for the momentum to the upside. Okay, I hope this is not too confusing. Please stay with me, but these are basically the scenarios that I'm watching here on Bitcoin. Then let's jump into ETH. So we have to consider what Bitcoin's going to do, because we all know if Bitcoin's going to come crashing down here, it's going to drag all the altcoins with it. So on ETH also, what I do see is I have two Elliott wave scenarios. The one you will love, and everyone will say, yeah, no, this is the one. Okay, cool. And this is the bullish scenario. There's a couple of reasons I don't like the scenario, but it could definitely happen and play out as well. Okay, where we have a bigger one wave, two, we are now busy with a third wave to the upside, then we're going to make a fourth and complete the fifth wave here around the $4,000 level. Okay, currently we are busy with 1, 2, perhaps another retracement, or the retracement is already in here, down here, and we are now busy with an aggressive third wave to the upside. Okay, so this is the bullish scenario. Also, you can take a little bit of other technical things into consideration, is to say that we have flipped this resistance into support. Okay, we broke down, not being able to get through, resistance, and now we broke through and we found support above the resistance, or RS flip. So could we see the continuation to the upside? Definitely keeping an eye on here. This is a great load up zone for spot bags in preparation for that anticipated next bull run for 2024. Okay, so scenario 1 that I'm looking at, the scenario that everyone's going to hate me for, is what if there's a scenario 2 on the cards, is to say that we are inside a contracting diagonal where we've made a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, of which this is now the end of the fifth wave, and we are going to see a deeper ABC correction to the downside. So all dependent on what Bitcoin's going to do, for then an explosion to the upside, of which the minimum target is the 1.618, where we're going to hit the $3,500 level. And I do have a weekly level there as well. Okay, even where price is now at the moment, if I zoom in here onto the 30-minute just to show you where we are at the moment, we do have a weekly level here, and we have broken through with high volume. If we can hold this weekly level, I do see the first scenario that I've explained here potentially playing out for higher prices to come. If we start losing this level and even losing these supports, okay, it might mean that we've got this bigger scenario, the more bearish scenario, which is also bullish, potentially going to play out. Okay, so hate me, love me, I'm just purely from a technical perspective highlighting both the bullish and bearish scenarios. Personally, I would love for this scenario to play out, because it means that I can load up my ETH bags more aggressively, because anything here is aggressive load up zones, and this scenario could potentially create that fear to say that, well, we've lost this momentum to the upside, we've lost the structure, and people just start selling their ETH, we're going down to lower prices, and that's where I want to buy up that fear for this move to the upside. Okay, the end of the correction, ABC, and then we're going to start making impulsive waves to the upside. Okay, so that's the ETH scenario, both bullish and bearish scenarios. Also, just purely from a technical perspective, I am looking at XTZ or Tezos. If you go here onto the daily, we zoom out. These are one of those altcoins I feel that hasn't run yet. Okay, cool. So purely looking at Tezos, not going through Elliott wave theory, just break of trend. We are here on the daily time frame, and this could potentially be a minimum target load up zone. Okay, we are still within that momentum to the upside, and I do see if Bitcoin plays ball and we do go to higher levels, I do see 91% to 122%. So definitely a spot buy. This is not, I don't like to leverage trade altcoins, but definitely this is a coin that I'm watching. Okay, let's look at Bonk. Yes, you heard me right, I'm looking at Bonk. I've been tracking this momentum to the downside. We have some nice support over here. We did bounce inside of support. I entered this trade over here when I saw the bounce. I'm currently up a couple of percent, but we are rejecting here from the trend line. So ideally what I would like to see is from the bottom to the, oops, this is the wrong indicator, sorry about that. Taking a normal flip from the bottom to the top, I would love to see to continue this upwards momentum and potentially breaking this trend. I would love to see us bounce here on the 618 or the 786. Ideally, I would not like to see the 0.88 ETH because it increases probabilities that we're going lower. So, you know, keeping an eye on the from the 382 to the 786 for a possible bouncing area. Okay. What else? Doge, the doggy coin. Okay, also still tracking this momentum to the upside. I'm here on the 4 hour and I have this downsloping trend line with my alarm set and anticipating a potential breakout here. I have been nibbling at some of these lows, slowly filling my spot bags, and it's all dependent on what Bitcoin's going to do. Doge I also feel is one of those that hasn't run as aggressively as some of the other altcoins out there, so definitely keeping an eye on this. And then lastly, quickly looking at Bitcoin dominance, I've also been tracking the Elliot waves up here. So keeping it simple, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, of which the levels balance nicely. And even inside of this fifth wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where we've hit a common fifth wave target. Could this be the correction where we are going to potentially, first scenario, an A, B, C, where we could bounce in this area, which will provide support for a retest, and this will be the decision point. We're either going to go down for deeper retracement, or we're going to break back up in trend to go and claim the $60 or the 60% level. Okay, if you zoom out, let's see. Oops, just want to take this out the way. Let's go into the daily, waiting for this to load up. And you'll see this 60% area has confluence with this resistance over here. Okay, so definitely a critical decision for the Bitcoin dominance is to say that, are the altcoins going to play ball, and are we going to have that crazy altcoin season, of which we've already seen some of it, but it could get even a little bit more crazy out here. Okay, so if we do bounce here, this move to the up could, you know, slow down the altcoins and let them bleed, depending on whether Bitcoin's going up or down. But this will be a critical decision point over here if we do get the bounce. Or another scenario is we just keep on dropping for a bigger A, B, C to the downside. Okay, we'll just have to see how this plays out. This was quite intensive. I hope you've enjoyed this update as much as I have. Please like and subscribe this video. Please use my 2 affiliate links down in the description to trade with me. Costs you nothing, supports the channel. Until the next update, cheers for now.